Hello, my dear fellow Honkai Impact players. I am here today back with this most special video, which is the Valkyrie polling guide. It's a bit different from my previous one that it's already been so long, but part 1 characters were different from part 2 characters, so the outline of the video is going to be different. As you can see in the description, it will be separated in 3 parts, so you can skip through if you don't want to watch a certain part of the video. Remember, as always, have to mention that things can change very quickly, and even if you're watching this just a couple of months later, things might be different, so make sure that you keep up with other Honkai creators' guides to see who's in the meta and who's not, because I don't do these guides every patch. I'm here to give you objective information on the characters as well as subjective advice based on my personal experience, who you should roll for. Any feedback on the video is appreciated. Liking, commenting, subscribing really goes a long way, and it really motivates me to keep going. So, yeah, anyway, let's get started. Okay, so the first part of the video is going to be the shortest one, which is basically, are any part 1 characters still viable? Hi, MJ, I'm new to the game. I just started playing, and I really like this character. Should I go for them? The short answer is, no. Like, honestly, I'm telling you, I have to mention right now, if you're a beginner, you're gonna see the beginner banner, you're gonna get baited. Do not roll on that beginner banner. That banner is literally a bait by the developers. Like, I'm not even kidding. You should never ever roll on the beginner banner. Always save your crystals for upcoming limited S rank new characters. Okay, so when it comes to part 1, at this point, 95% of part 1 characters are obliterated, excluding the trio. The part 1 trio have their own section in the video, so I'll talk about them after. But when it comes to part 1, because part 2 characters introduced a new mechanic called Astral Ring, which part 1 characters don't have access to, and a lot of the meta itself revolves around Astral Ring. It doesn't revolve like Ignite or like status effects like it did at part 1. It revolves around the Astral Ring mechanic, which again part 1 characters don't have access to. So at this point, when it comes to DPSs, no part 1 characters are viable. The only 2 characters that I would say still have a decent value are Hersher of Rebirth, who is a physical DPS and a support, and Teresa Lunar Vow, who is a lightning support and a bleed damage dealer. Honestly, yes, her share of rebirth is good, but Songque herself, she's the only part 2 physical character, and her damage is like really high. VIta increases her damage by even more, so it's like her share of rebirth is just not worth getting. Yes, she's good, but Songque is better. And the other character is Teresa Lunar Vow, who actually has been in the meta since she came out, and I said this in my previous guide as well, but Teresa Lunar Vow is really strong, even like 6 months later, and our most recent S rank, this patch released, Shixal's Imperative, actually is now her best support, and it makes her even stronger. But to reach Teresa Lunar Vow's full potential, you also need Grizel Cosmic Expressions gears, which you definitely shouldn't even try getting at this point. Yes, they're good, but part 2 is always better, remember. So yes, Teresa Lunar Vow is genuinely still usable. You can use her even as a support for VIta. Again, we'll talk about that in the part 2 part of the video, but she can be used as a substitute for VIta, but you'll need higher rank than S0, and you will need high rank Astral OPs. TLDR, I know this might sound a bit brutal, but part 1 characters genuinely are just getting more and more obliterated every patch. You'll see how strong VIta is as a support, that now it's like, even if Teresa Lunar Vow is usable, genuinely, it's not reason enough for me to say, yes, I can justify going for her. No, it's time to move on from part 1 and focus on part 2. Okay, so now for the second part of the video, we can talk about the comeback of the part 1 trio, which consists of Her Share of Origin, Her Share of Truth, and Her Share of Finality. Quick note, her Share of Origin is currently not obtainable in any way. Her Share of Truth, you can obtain her from the Battle Pass between version 7.8 and 8.1, but note that you have to buy the Battle Pass at least 2 times to be able to actually purchase her Share of Truth, and her Share of Finality is also not obtainable except from the spending event next patch, where you need to spend 45,000 crystals, which is 160 pulls, to be able to redeem her from the shop. Now, the thing that actually makes her Share of Finality viable, like the reason why she's coming back, is because of her new Divine Key, or a special type of weapon, and her new Stigma set Iskandar, which allow her to be a support for Part 2 characters, as well as actually make her Share of Origin a decent DPS. When you go in the game, in the filter tag for selecting characters, there's this thing called Astral Ring Specialization and Astral Ring Attributes. Astral Ring is a special mechanic accessible only to Part 2 characters, and the reason why Finality is now usable is because her new Divine Key allows her to have access to that Astral Ring mechanic. The Astral Ring Specialization basically means the type of Astral Ring that characters gain when they are run as a DPS and in the team. So her Share of Finality is the Rite of Oblivion tag, which best goes with other Rite of Oblivion characters. And in terms of Astral Ring attributes, she has the Omniscient Star tag, which is universal, but it's like a second tier support tag. You should rather use Domain Resonance or Harmonized Shadow Star, characters that have those two, rather than Omniscient Star. Because it's mostly like a second tier support option, and she has Domain Resonance tag, which means she's the best at supporting World Star characters, which is Senadina and Schicksal's Imperative, as well as Sparkle. Actually, Sparkle is a World Star character, so if Sparkle ends up being a viable DPS, Finality can probably support her, but we'll see that probably next week. Basically, her Share of Finality's new Divine Key is a necessity. Like, if you don't have her Divine Key, don't even think about using her. Like, she doesn't do anything. But with her Divine Key and with her Iskandar set, she becomes the best support for VIta. And if you want VITA's full damage output, you need her Share of Finality with her Divine Key and her Iskandar set. In the Part 1 trio, when she's run as a DPS with her Share of Origin and her Share of Truth, you can actually use her old Kiana Stigma set as well. Like, in terms of DPS, her new set and her old set are the same, but if you want to run her as a support for her Share of Origin, which now buffs her by a significant amount, like her Share of Origin now is pretty good for lightning weathers, her damage is massively improved, you need Finality's weapon and new Stigma set. Her Share of Truth and her Share of Origin, they don't get any new weapons or stigmas. They just get new attributes in their old stigma set that basically says that when you're under Astral Ring, you do more damage. Like, because Kiana now has access to Astral Ring, her Share of Origin and her Share of Truth's old gears just get a couple more bonuses to align with Kiana's new mechanic. Okay, so we come to the most important part of the video, which is about Part 2 characters. I just have to mention that for Part 2 characters, there isn't really like a black and white answer for all the S ranks, because remember, they have a DPS and a support tag. They can be used as both a DPS and a support, depending on the team, on the weather, on the boss, whatever. So I can't really say, skip this character, roll for this character. I'm going to give you objective information on the characters, what's their advantages, maybe what's their disadvantage, and then for your own account, you can perhaps make the decision who you want to go for. Part 2 characters are mostly focused on Astral Ring combinations. It isn't like Part 1 where what really matters is like status effects, which character can apply more status effect the fastest, or which character is what a specific type. No, Part 2 characters are more focused on the Astral Ring mechanic and characters that can be combined in one team. Let's start with the two SP ranks, Helia and Coralie. They're not ran as DPSs, they're only ran as supports. Helia, poor girl, because she's the only Part 2 character that has only one support tag, which means that she can only support World Star characters. That's Senadina and Schicksal's Imperative, and she can't do anything else. And then Coralie, who's actually a very decent character. She has also the Domain Resonance tag, but she also has the Omniscient Star tag, and she's Vita's best support as of now with her Shore of Finality and her Divine Key. Because they're SP ranks, them and their fragments are farmable from the Asterite shop. And next patch we get a free box where we get to choose between claiming Helia's or Coralie's weapon. Make sure that from that box you choose Helia's weapon because Coralie's weapon is already available through the main story of part 2. Okay, so now we move on to the S ranks, and I'll start with our most recent as of now unreleased S rank, which is VIta, who will genuinely be the most powerful part 2 character for a long time to come. In terms of her DPS tag, she has the Rite of Oblivion tag, which only Coralie and her Shore of Finality have. And Rite of Oblivion is more of a support tag. Like if you notice, Coralie, you can't run her as a DPS. Finality only run as a DPS when you're running her with her Part 1 team. Outside of her Part 1 team, she's a support. So VIta is kind of similar. Like yes, VIta is a good DPS, but her highest damage comes only if you have Coralie and her Shore of Finality with her Divine Key in the team. If you don't have Coralie with her full gear or Finality with her Divine Key and her gears, then VIta's damage falls by a decent amount. The thing is that if you can't run VIta as a DPS, guess what? You can run her as a support because she has all 4 support tags, including the 4th unreleased one. It is in the game, like it is officially in the game, it's just marked by question marks, and the only 2 characters which have it so far are Songque and VIta. We don't know what it does yet, but when it is revealed, VIta can support that as well. So VIta has the Omniessence Star tag, the Domain Resonance tag, and the Harmonized Shadow Star tag, which means she can support all other Part 2 characters. She provides a physical and elemental damage boost to the team. She's lightning, which yes, lightning is kind of overcrowded because we literally have like 5 lightning DPSs, but again, remember, most of her power as a Rite of Oblivion character comes from the fact that she is a support character and can support all other Part 2 characters. In my personal opinion, VIta is just an absolutely highest value character of Part 2 so far. Get her from next patch, and the first 10 pull on her banner is free. It doesn't count towards the spending event, but still you need to spend one last 10 pull to get her. And I mean, some of you, hoping it's gonna be me, are gonna be able to get VIta in that one free 10 pull, you know? Not everyone has to go to full pity. Some people get her early. Maybe we'll get her in that one free 10 pull. Now the next one that I would say is Songque. And Songque is so far our only Part 2 physical carry. And she carries the Wheel of Destiny main DPS tag, which means she's best going to be supported by Harmonized Shadow Star. She also has the unreleased tag like VIta. So right now, Songque doesn't have much supportive capabilities because she has the Harmonized Shadow Star tag, which all other Part 2 characters have. So you're a lot more often going to see VIta, you're going to see Lantern or Thelema as a support, but Songque, her value as a support is going to rise once we get that 4th currently unreleased Astral rank support type. You know, I would recommend going all out for the spending event. And then we have the collab as well, so I do understand if you're not able to get Songque right now, but I would recommend getting her whenever you're able to. So for the last part of the video, we have the other 4 S ranks left. I'll firstly talk about Schicksal's Imperative, and then I'll talk about Senadina-Thelema and Lantern, and present them to you as a group, and you will see why I'm going to do that. So firstly, let's quickly go through Schicksal's Imperative value. She's a Quantum Lightning character, run as a DPS, and has the World Star tag. Her best advantage is fighting quantum bosses. Outside of quantum bosses, she doesn't have much coverage. As a support, has the Harmonized Shadow Star and Domain Resonance tag. Can support Senadina and can support Thelema, but so can VIta. And listen to this, VIta actually makes Schicksal's Imperative even stronger, so I would definitely prioritize VIta. Her other best support is most likely going to be Thelema, and maybe even her Shore of Finality with her Divine Key. But the thing is that she doesn't even have a banner during the spending event, so you can't even take advantage of that. And Sparkle is also Quantum, and she's coming 7.9. So if Sparkle is a DPS, she might be able to do some of Shixel's Imperative bosses. Just have to mention though that Shixel Imperative is Lunar Vow's best support, and as if Lunar Vow wasn't already cracked enough, she makes her even stronger. So perhaps if you really like Lunar Vow, if you use her a lot, maybe in the future you can consider getting Shixel's Imperative. But for now, I would prioritize VIta. And to end off the video, very quickly, I'll talk to you about Senadina-Thelema-Lantern, our first Part 2 S ranks. They're still very strong, all of them. They were referred to as the Part 2 trio because of their insane synergy and boss coverage. Now, basically, there are like more improved versions of the Part 2 trio, and like Senadina will most likely be exchanged out for VIta. Senadina has the World Star main DPS tag and Domain Resonance and Shadow Star support tags, while Thelema and Lantern have the same DPS tag, Wheel of Destiny, and the same support tags, Shadow Star and Domain Resonance. So very often you'll see both of them used as a support in the same team, or VIta and one of them too. Lantern is our only fire Valkyrie, but Sparkle is also fire. I don't think that should worry you though, because I think Sparkle might be able to synergize with Lantern very well and make the fire team even stronger, while Thelema is our only Part 2 ice character, at least until 8.0. So she's safe for like the next 90 days at least, and even when our next ice character comes out, I'm pretty sure she'll still be very, very strong. Senadina is still usable, but unfortunately out of these three characters, she has the least value after VIta's release, because Senadina is the first out of 3 Part 2 lightning damage dealers, as well as now her Sure of Origin can be used. If you have Lunar Vow, she can be used as well. So she doesn't have as much boss coverage anymore. And in terms of support, in most teams, VIta will take her position as the support. So she has less value. Does that mean that if you got her, you should regret it, or oh my god, she's useless? Absolutely not, like not even close. She's still very good DPS for Stardust Weathers. She is still a decent support for Thelema and Lantern, so don't be worried, like she genuinely is not useless at all. She's still a very respectable value character. In my opinion, out of these 3 characters, you should get Thelema, because Thelema, not that she only have a very good support value, but again, she's our only ice attacker, and the ice team is already like very scarce, so she's the only value ice character. She has shield break, she has time stop after her ultimate, so you can literally do additional damage because she stops the timer. So yes, Senadina is decent, Lantern is extremely good, but in my opinion, out of these 3 characters, Thelema has the most value. And during the spending event, if you end up spending around 30,000 crystals, you can get Thelema's skin for free, which is very beautiful and makes her look even more of a gremlin. So that's honestly my advice. But remember what I said at the beginning of the Part 2 section of the video, that it all depends on your account. So out of these 3 characters, if you want all 3 of them, which one you should get depends a lot on who you're planning on rolling for, whether you're planning on getting Sparkle, whether you're planning on getting VIta, and depending on that, you should make the decision on which of these characters you'll decide to get.